in Gemini season with a very whimsical heart that is rooted in curiosity and play and rediscovering the essence that once possessed us within our birthright of being the child. And so Gemini is a very, very misunderstood zodiac sign, and I feel like for a long period of time it was always hated upon, being two-faced, and that harsh mirror that Gemini can sometimes bridge into the unawakened soul, or the soul who refuses to look at their wounds and their triggers, because Gemini, their mind is a powerhouse where Gemini is able to see where others cannot, and so they exist within this realm of a different consciousness because Gemini is rooted within energy and aura, so they are able to see the energy and auras that other individuals might not pick up upon, and so they mirror this energy back simply by being themselves because they are so unapologetically themselves. And Gemini is rooted within duality. And this is a realm of duality, but the duality of Gemini is rooted within the head and the heart, but more specifically the mind. So when we tune into the mind is the realms of limitless power, truly unlimited. It is also the realms where knowledge is stored, intellect arises, where it's the realms of dreams and daydreams. It is where the first spark of creativity arises, where the visions arise before it's manifested into the external sources. And the mind is far more powerful and complex than the human existence can even comprehend. The human mind can't even comprehend how vast and expansive the mind is. So Gemini is rooted within this expansiveness, so it is very rare to find a Gemini that feels identical to another Gemini placement, but you can usually pinpoint them because they are intelligent, knowledgeable, whimsical, creative, artists, and they are rooted within weirdness within the best of ways possible. And then the other dualistic aspect of Gemini is rooted within the heart. And it's not the same aspect of the heart where Taurus, the sign that we just exited, exists, where the heart rooted with Taurus is rooted with romanticizing your life and self-love, and rooted in the sensuality of discovering your essence materialized within these realms, the arts, the music, the poetry, romance. The heart aspect of Gemini is rooted within childlike joy and whimsical delight and play and following our curiosities, and just understanding that the heights of spirituality is joy and it's creativity and it's play and it's just allowing your true self to shine. And there is such a whimsical nature within Gemini because it is rooted within the aura. Gemini is air, but because Gemini is the first air sign within the zodiac, it is the first breath of life. It is where air, which is this formless, vast energy, is stored, contained. It is within the material aspect of the self. So it goes in and out. Again, duality, the ebb and flow of breath. So it is the energy in the air that is rooted within the entire body, and it is also very connected to the aura. And because Gemini is just so secure within being their true selves, their aura shines. And this aura is intimidating to those who lack self-consciousness, self-awareness, who lack the freedom of sacred expression, of this expression of being the true self. There is a balloon above my head of a mermaid that I got for my birthday a few weeks ago, and it is like moving around on its own. but we're just going to ignore that, right? And so this mirror is hard for individuals to accept. And I noticed that a lot of the misunderstandings of Gemini is rooted within millennials and that generation, whereas Gen Z is more embracing of the energies of Gemini, because Gemini is so rooted within being the true self. And I feel like because of their Sagittarius Pluto generation, they witness their sister sign, because whatever zodiac sign is the opposite of you on the wheel is your sister sign. It's also your earth. Sorry, people are shouting my name, saying bye. I thought they already left. Anywho, so because the opposite side of the zodiac is actually your earth sign, and so there is a great branch of astrology that is not popularized. A lot of astrologers actually dismiss it, but it is your earth sign. So we already know that the streams of consciousness upon the other side, the mirror, are rooted within us: Taurus and Scorpio, Capricorn and Cancer, Aries and Libra, Gemini and Sagittarius. So I feel like because of this generation that is within their illumination period of existence, because they're emerging into the adult, gaining this imprint into this realm that the rest of us have already existed upon, where they embrace these codes of Gemini. So Gemini is the whimsical imprint that you are seeing woven within the collective consciousness. And there's also something within Gemini that is very ancient, and it is rooted within the celestial lions that guard the underworld. So Gemini has the ability, and this is something that's often, I feel like it's overlooked or not really known about with Gemini, is they actually can go into the shadow world with ease. And I feel like sometimes this is a very stereotypical trait of Scorpio, being able to dive into the shadows and merge the light. Gemini is the doorway to the underworld, to the shadow realm, and they're like, baby, I've known about this existence before I was born. So they are able to weave through it with such ease and shine this illumination, this light, this consciousness, the realms of the mind, with grace into this aspect. Gemini is, you'll never, or you will rarely see their wounds worn as like a badge, because they don't live by, it's kind of like that energy of playing victim. They will never play victim, even if they were a victim. Do you know what I'm saying? Because even when Gemini suffers, they say, okay, I have suffered, I've learned these lessons, I'm not going to make it a part of my identity, and I'm going to rewire my brain to find the beauty within life and the light within life. And this can be very hard for other individuals, especially within a society where go to therapy, where you are constantly speaking about past trauma and recircling this and recircling this and recircling this. Gemini is the somatic therapist of the zodiac, truly, because Gemini is just, it's the air that cannot be contained, and yet it is contained. And so they choose their container. They choose, I can live in this vase of this past, of this broken home that I grew up in, or I can create this temple and truly weave my magic into this reality. I just put my light here and I'm like, wow, that makes such a difference. This little light of mine. So, tuning back in. how can we utilize this Gemini season to become the best versions of ourselves? Because that is what I am all about. I truly believe that it is part of my dharma and my soul's purpose to inspire individuals, remind individuals, right? I'm a reflector in human design, so what can my mirror represent to you? I want it to be to remember your worth, to know who you are, and to live a life that is rooted in authenticity and evolution. And evolution to me is simply the return of the true self, the conscious self, weaving your consciousness into everything that you do while nurturing your own energy at the same time. And so sorry, I'm like trying to get comfortable. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm in the middle of moving, so I'm like, where can I create a spot to create this video? So Gemini season asks us to rekindle our relationship with our inner child, to allow our creativity to unfold in such an organic manner where you create just to create. You don't create to be seen, you don't create for abundance, you don't create for praise, you create just because your soul knows that it is medicine for you. And whatever comes after this in regards to what happens with your creativity will simply just unfold. Perhaps you will paint a painting and sell it for $5,000, or perhaps you'll paint a painting and burn it and be like, I feel so free. Or you'll just doodle and leave it and forget about it. Just create to create. And it is also a time of remembering our joy. What music did you listen to as a child? Start playing it and dancing and just spending time in nature and allowing your imagination to shine and thrive, because our imagination is a portal of weaving this lifetime and remembering the spirit and the soul within, while also being aware of the veil and the fact that the spirit realm exists within this physical realm of reality. So utilizing your imagination in the most beautiful of ways, allowing yourself to go on a walk in nature and being like, I know there's fairies here, and imagining them and connecting with them, because Gemini is very, very like coded, very elemental based. It is the sprites, it is the air spirits. So just allowing your imagination and remembering the magic and restoring the magic, because when you remember the magic remembers you, and you weave it into your life, and just such beauty and just magic unfolds. Okay, just remember and embrace the magic. Okay, that is your homework for Gemini season. And just spending time in nature, frolicking around, watching a movie that sparks joy within you, a whimsical movie, allowing laughter to be the medicine of the day, and really utilizing knowledge, because sometimes Gemini just stores knowledge without really manifesting it into the external. So utilizing your knowledge for your growth, for the higher good, sharing knowledge where it's needed, even if it's like, hey, don't touch that salamander with your bare hands because the oils of the skin will burn it. Your hands have to be wet before you touch an amphibian. Simple knowledge like that, just getting it out there. Or being like, I read about this ancient priestess and I'm going to create a blog post about it. Or, hey, I think I'm gonna go to school to become a librarian, or whatever it is that you want to be. You know, just really making sure this knowledge goes into the external, not just the internal, because Gemini is about merging the dualities. So how can you merge your mind and your heart, your spirituality and the materialism, knowledge into the external, internal into the external, okay? Merging these energies and allowing your whimsical nature to unfold, being unapologetically yourself, and just go swing at the playground, go be naked and jump into a creek, sunbathe in the nude. That is another homework for you if you have a safe place to do this. And connecting with community, putting yourself out of your comfort zones, because Gemini really wants us to go out of our comfort zones. So seeking a drum circle or an ecstatic dance or a women's circle or an event, whether it be like a poetry reading or a concert, something that is rooted in community and other individuals, and taking yourself out of your comfort zone. For myself, I'm going to be hosting, I haven't even created yet, but I'm going to be hosting a women's gathering, and that's something that nurtures me, and sometimes I can get trapped in introversion, so really putting myself out there, not as an extrovert, but just putting myself out there, complimenting strangers. I love complimenting strangers in an authentic, organic manner, and just finding your inner joy, finding your inner spark, and listening to music while you shower and singing, just simple things that you can find within the mundane. Going for a drive in your car, blasting music, or screaming in the woods, just anything to get the internal out of the external, because your aura wants to shine, but in order to shine, you have to allow yourself to be seen, but by yourself. You have to see yourself in order for yourself to shine, because you're never going to shine if you don't see yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't know yourself. Because the esoteric ruler of Gemini is Venus. And sometimes when people learn this, they're like, what? Gemini and Venus? What? But truly, it's the return of the heart while honoring the mind and the head, and travel or create the blueprint to move where you know you belong. Just doing these simple things. So that is today's sit down, downloads, sharing. I do create esoteric natal that are woven within ancient, esoteric, spiritual, conscious astrology, and it is written from me. I don't use AI, and I utilize 15 years of knowledge and wisdom and intuition into these readings to not tell you who you are, but show the codes that exist within you, and it is up to you to utilize them from here on. It caresses the soul, it liberates the spirit. They are on sale. But if this is not in alignment with you right now, I also have payment plans, but if it's not in alignment with you, just listen to this and go live your most beautiful, whimsical, magical life, and just be you. Trust in your sight, trust in your heart. Merge them. Blessings.